Bet. Hey everyone, we are back again for another episode of Text Me When You Outside. Um, this is a special episode, and I'm super excited to have my man on today. Usually, Text Me When You Outside, as everybody know, is about people who gather in the community, right? Parties, big events, this, that, to the third. But if it's one thing that you can't go to a party without, or at least has been a part of our culture for so long, is jewelry and fashion and all that. That's a part of being text when you outside. You know what I mean? That's a part of that community. It's a part of that ecosystem. So I'm super excited to have my brother Gerard Alexander on, the founder of St. Jules. I mean, this guy is, if I read from his website, it's St. Jules reaches a elite roster of global clientele whose fine jewelry preferences go far beyond the imagination.
Oh, thank you, bro.
You know what I mean? And for those who have a deep appreciation for fine art pieces that embody confidence, art, joy, and love. You know what I mean? And some of the clients that I've seen this brother work with has been from the J Balvins to the Pusha T's, T Grizzlies, actors, directors like Kenya Barris, athletes, actresses, you know what I mean? And yeah, the Larry Jewels of the world, the list goes on and on. Yeah, man. So I'm so happy to have this brother here. So everybody welcome Gerard Alexander. Thank you for taking the time, my brother.
I'm doing the background clapping still, since I don't have an audience.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate it. No doubt, brother. Thank you. Yeah, man. Thank you for joining us.
Boy. Of course.
For sure. And I just want to hop right into it. You know what I mean? For those who don't know anything about St. Jules, or anything about Gerard Alexander, to me, you've always been somewhat of a black sheep because you don't see too many African-American jewelers. At least I haven't seen too many African-American bespoke jewelers. So, let's just start from the beginning, man. Where are you from, my brother?
I am born and raised Queens, New York. Hollis, Queens to be exact. And then, went to Flushing when I was about 10, 11 years old, but New York bred and born.
Got it. And let me ask you this. Did you grow up in a busy household, G? Was it busy? Were you a only child, youngest child?
No, it was just me, single mom, as the story goes with most New York boys. But yeah, single mom and sister. So I was a man of the house in such form, but not crazy busy, just, a lot of female energy.
Got it. And were you involved in sports and all that type of stuff in high school? Like, how were you in high school? Like, how was Gerard in high school?
A fly, really. Honestly, I was just stuck on being fly. I mean, I went to Catholic school all my damn life, up to private school and Catholic school. My mom wanted to keep me out of the streets and, raise me as a person of intellect, which she did a good job as, I think, as I pat myself on the back. But, yeah, I went to high school, man. It was my first public school experience. So, just freedom to go to school on your own, leave on your own, so I was kind of caught in the world of just having a lot of freedom. And, school was easy for me in high school. I went to school for art. So just being there was a great experience too. But, I was mostly into getting fly, man, looking good and, being fresh, especially around the people I hung around with. You know how New York is when you grow up, I have the fresh Jordans, the J's, the looks. I grew up around the whole hip hop thing. The Mason Bethas and P. Diddy's of the 97, Big Puff, all those guys. So high school is about really getting fly. So I went to school. All the guys that got attention were the fly kids.
So let me go back because me and you are truly friends and I never knew this. So you went to Catholic school up until what age?
To high school. I basically went to private school and Catholic school up to 9th grade. So pretty much up to 13.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And in that time, like, because one thing that I want to find out, and I know that our listeners want to find out, is like, where did the love of art come from? You know what I mean? Like, where did that begin? Did that begin before high school, or?
I mean, yeah, that was way before high school. That was instilled in me because I grew up from a family of artists. Even though my dad wasn't around, he lived a whole separate life in the islands. My uncles, my mom and my dad's side, cousins, we all were like artists. So I just had the knack to draw and do art. So my mom put me in art school since I was 5 years old.
Wow. Shout out to
creative in a sense, trying to understand how to create your own art. And it was mostly just stuff like you would copy in still life and modeling. But, it kind of gave me an eye for art and just gave me the love, passion for it. But that was all just meant to be in that way. This is my plan.
And when you say your uncles, like what type of art did they do? Because obviously yours
Traditional
trans.
painting, oil paintings. My dad was an artist too, which we lived. He wasn't a father that was around, but you still looked up to him because he had his lifestyle in Haiti that I was presented by my cousins and aunts that he was a famous painter. He had a big house. He was free to do whatever he wants. Every picture, he looked like he was happy. So I never really had any disdain for him because he seemed like a superhero when the life that he lived was something I wanted to have. You know what I mean? So, which is very
Wow.
weird when you grow up and you realize that.
Wow. Wow. So
But
so you had, interest in, I guess, outside of your family, what were some of those early inspirations within the art space? Like, a name that we may not know. You know what I mean? Like, were you looking at different types of styles? You get what I'm
not, no,
saying? You get
not
what I'm
really. I mean,
asking?
as a kid, you just drew stuff like your own friends. You drew your mom. You drew your family because you just try to show off your skills and you really try to just make people proud about something that you're doing that comes easy to you. So all my art experience was not really anything about studying other people or having I lived in Queens and Flushing, my grandma's attic. So I went to school, came back home. I didn't really, as a kid, had the experience of knowing what art was outside of what I just knew, in my own bubble. But
Fire.
just drawing, cartoons from then and just drawing people and then being brought to Manhattan to go to school for the Students Art League, to go to school for like drawing actual figures and models in a classroom full of adults. And I'm like 10 years old, was its own experience to kind of see art outside of my little bubble in Queens, going there. So that kind of put me into a whole little space of seeing the world as bigger than what I thought it was. Seeing
Wow.
how people draw, being in the city, seeing how people move, seeing beautiful things, and just kind of inspired to be around that in the future, just innately, I would
So
say.
as a teen, you were going to an art school with full on adults. Art
Teen,
school
like a
with
10-year-old, not a teen.
what?
Yeah.
What school is this?
The New York Students Art League. So she put me there once a week on Saturdays,
Hmm.
pretty much just kind of just learn to kind of not learn, but just kind of sharpen my skills that I already had in a more professional manner, in a more, teaching manner. So she brought me to that school for a good solid couple of years. I just learned how to draw people, angles, body shapes, live nude models, all that. So she brought me to that just to kind of own my skills. And from then on is when I went to like a place where I felt real comfortable to apply to high schools that had art programs like Bayside High School, LaGuardia, so on and so forth.
Got it. Because now we're transitioning to high school, and high school
Yeah.
is its own set of problems growing up where you grew up, and I'm pretty sure you can speak to some of that. But how does that transition from art grow as you become somewhat of a young adult? You got girls now, you got the rap music that you said. Like, how did that hone your skills, or did it?
I mean, it made me understand what I liked, and what I didn't like. I liked fashion. I liked shiny things. That's
Mm,
where jewelry came into play. Really, honestly, that's where the jewelry idea came into play. So I went to art school in the art program in Bayside, and then that kind of was a 4-year curriculum of just kind of like going through different programs of sculpting, watercolor, painting, also fashion class, which I took on my own option because I wanted to meet girls. You know what I mean? I was still a little shy though, but I wanted
mm-hmm,
to meet girls and be around them. Being in high school, being a little skinny, scrawny kid, but was fly. Just wanted to
mm-hmm.
have the opportunity to be around them to kind of open up. But it also opened me up to jewelry making because I drew an accessory in the class that my teacher, which I can't remember her name, but I remember her face vividly. She basically kind of gave me like a pat on the back, like, wow, that ring is beautiful that you drew with the outfit that I told you to draw. And I remember the drawing too. My mom still has it in her house. It was like this Gucci dress with the G's all over it. And then the ring was like this pave 3-row diamond ring with a diamond center ring. Like it was pretty cool. It was pretty dope for me to do that just off my memory.
Wow. And what do you remember how old you were? This was in high school?
It was in high school. It was 14,
Huh. So
my
you
second
like a
year.
freshman.
I was
Got it.
sophomore.
Oh, sophomore. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. So you said this is where the love for jewelry came into play. Now, is this like regular you watching,
Yeah.
New Jack City and
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Hip hop
got it.
totally influenced, 100%. But not only hip hop too. Like my mom wore a lot of jewelry. She wore a lot of gold, and she always dressed every day to look her best. She was a teacher, mind you. She would wear these gold earrings, gold bracelets, hair back slick, always a nice outfit, always well put together. You know what I mean? So that just comes from her, really, all that. I would steal some of her jewelry when I was a kid in like kindergarten and give it to girls I like, and obviously get in trouble for that. Like it was that type of vibe I was
You
on, you know?
wow. I thought
Yeah.
you was getting your
Yeah, like
head
little
knocked off. You
necklaces,
wow.
because I just wanted to make a girl feel good. So I used to do that little things with my crushes. But that all like came into the story, into the whole you know.
You said an interesting thing right there. You said I just wanted to make the girls feel good. So
Yeah.
you combine jewelry and all that to making women feel good. Like you
Yes.
connect that.
Yeah. The sentimental
Interesting.
value, the you know, the feeling behind it, you know. It's not just a piece of thing you wear and you just have. There's a lot of emotion that comes with it, you know, and you see somebody smile and be happy when they get something shiny and beautiful and bright.
Yeah. So when it came time for, you said that the kind of idea of jewelry came in high school.
Mm.
Was the thought to create your own brand then, or that it was just like,
No, no, no.
I know I could probably do.
High school was just a learning process. I didn't know what I wanted to do, honestly.
Got it.
I didn't know what I wanted to do with anything like that until probably like after high school, maybe until I was like 22 years old, 21. High school was
Huh.
just to get through school, get through art school. You know, it was easy for me because I was, you know, art was just part of my life. And, you know, after that, just kind of figured it out. So high school took a few years for me to understand what I wanted to do
And
after.
there's obviously different paths, right? Like, was there ever a path? And this is just me asking you, just
Mm.
as whatever a fan. Was there ever an animation path, or was always like fine art and things of
No,
that
it was
nature?
fine art, but you know, it was more like the path like my father took and my other family took, drawing, paints, but like you know, and turning that. What he did really was he was a painter, but he did commission paintings. You know, big pieces. Like somebody wants a painting themselves, sitting down in a chair and looking regal and put in the living room. That was my dad. You know what I mean?
Got it.
He did that in his own style, obviously, which is the Caribbean style, very different. But he did a lot of those, and that's what paid his bills and made him live his life for freedom like he wanted to live. He'll pay when he wanted to pay, get commissioned for it. So I knew that, and I knew most of my uncles did that too. So, you know, I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm just gonna do that when I get older after high school, after I figure it out. You know, I didn't really want to go to college either. I went to BMCC for like half a semester, and I dropped out because I didn't want to really be in that position of life and just be in school again. I was trying to figure it out. But I thought that would be the road that I would take, but came to see that I did not want to paint for 15, 20, 30 years and die, and then my paintings become worth something. You know what I mean?
Mm, mm.
I wanted to be valued as I was alive. And in those days, you know, late 90s or 2000s, it's not like now where you could be a painter and be on Instagram and be like a popular influence, still paint like an Alc Monopoly or a Salon. You know what I mean? It was like very rare for you to be a painter and be making money, number one, and be recognized. I just saw it as the young guys, you know, the Basquiat's and those guys, but those are rare and very few, far between, and it seemed reachable. So I want to be a little bit more realistic with my goals and aspirations. And most of the time, I did not know. I didn't think painting was that it. And I kind of lost my love and lust for painting, you know. And I still wanted to do, was push to do it, you know. And my mom made me apply for Parsons and do the whole test and draw a bunch of stuff to give to them. And I got good replies from them, but they didn't accept me. So then I was kind of in a position like, okay, let me just work and figure it out in time. You know what I mean?
So you're in your late 20s, or I mean your early
Early
20s. I
20s,
mean
yeah. About
early
20,
20s.
20,
You're
21 years old in that area, just hanging around the hood with my homies, some of the friends that you still know and that you have met that I still know now today, you know, and
Yep.
just kind of figuring it out, hanging out at the park, going to work, making some money. You know, I had jobs in between this. I'd always worked in high school since I was 14. I had a job since 14 every single year of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I always wanted to make money. I always had ambition. I never was a lazy person. So I was just working at Nike Town in high school, then working at this job, then got a job with my homies, families, business. So a lot of different things, but I was just still trying to figure it out. And then, you know, and I'll tell you a story between that time is where hanging out with a good friend of mine who played basketball back then and was trying to go to the league, played for St. John's, hanging out with him and his basketball friends. You know, they put me in a situation where I was in the Diamond District with them, looking at jewelry and like, you know what I mean? Like they were making money, and I was kind of the light bulb started to kind of open and shine a little bit more in my mind. As a, this can guy do this? Is this a possibility? You know what I mean? Like, so that's when it started kind of just shifting.
Wow. And do you remember, like, I mean, so early 20s, you chilling, you go to the Diamond District, and it's the aha moment. That's crazy. That's
Kind of aha
fire.
moment, yeah, a little bit. There was a few things in between that happened, but pretty much the Cliff Note was the aha moment, and asking a few questions, opening my mouth, like, how do you get in this business? How do you do this? And getting the answers I needed to get, you know. And then the wheels started turning my mind, you know, and just
And
going through
do you remember that person who answered those questions for you?
one time was it was two times that it happened actually. Once was when my friend Imani wanted a piece made that represented our crew, which we called Fab Five back then. But you know, a lot of dudes called their crew Fab Five. So, and us,
Yeah.
that was our little crew. And I drew this little logo from scratch, reverse F that goes the other way, backwards F, I should say, with a 5. And I made it into a 3D kind of design. And he got it made at a local jeweler. And that kind of gave me the aha moment. Like I could draw something, my homie gets it made. Like, okay, that's dope, seeing it come to life like that. Then the next aha moment was me, him, and this basketball player back then who was big, Lenny Cook. We were hanging out with him during draft week. And he didn't get drafted, but he was known because he was in music videos with DJ Clue. Everybody knew Lenny from Brooklyn, blah, 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 blah. He had a Jacob watch on. So he brought me and Imani after partying all night, drove us to 47th Street the next day. Just like a week straight of partying with this kid. And then we got to go meet Jacob, I see he's get his watch changed, the whole nine. I was like, oh, I met Jacob. That's cool. You know what I mean? Wow. Changed his watch face. We went in, went out, boom, 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 back to partying. But that stuck with me really heavy, And then a couple years later after that, when I was really trying to see what I wanted to do and getting a new job, I wanted to get a job in the business. So I was running around Fifth Avenue looking for a job in jewelry, looking for a job in luxury goods, whatever the case may be, just retail shit. And then I had walked into the store. I didn't ask it for a job in Jacob. It's when he opened his new store on 57th Street. I just randomly asked one of the guys who worked there, like, hey, man, like, how do you guys get into this business? How do you become a salesperson here? And one guy told me, like, yo, well, if you have no experience, you go to this school, aka GIA, get a gemology, maybe diploma, and it'll help you get your foot in the door because you have knowledge about it. So that kind of was the last aha moment that stuck with me. Like, okay, now I got to do this. And that's when I started researching and started looking into it and feeling more confident I could do it. But a lot of things happened between that to get to that point was, I was a black man, so I didn't see any black men as jewelers. So I didn't really have like, can I do this? Is it possible? You know what I mean? But then I did see one man named Chris Air back in the 2000s who was this big custom jewelry dude. You see him in the music videos with, Birdman and Nelly and his watch. It was like him and Jacob back and forth going at it. Those are the two jewelers you knew in hip hop. It was Jacob and Chris Air. He did Will Smith. He had this whole big booklet that he would ship out like a magazine of his jewelry. You could order online. It's like, going on AOL.com and ordering it to Awesome International. And I would order that. Honestly, they came to my crib and I just Google over jewelry and look at it and see all the artists that he had wearing it. He had LeBron when he first came into the league wearing a 23 piece. Like, it was crazy stuff. He did Jay-Z's Rockefeller piece, So I was like, okay, it's a black Nigerian man doing this. It's possible for my black ass to do this too. You know what I mean? But that was basically the whole step-by-step how it all happened. The whole I got to go to GIA and learn about this stuff and get my foot in the door was when I went to go looking for jobs and I ran to Jacob's new store and talked to one of the sales associates there.
Wow. Yeah. And that school that you went to, was that on the East Coast or was that on the West Coast? Because I met you on the West Coast.
They have GIAs all around the world, Hong Kong, Paris. They have satellite offices everywhere because they're basically the most renowned gemology institute in the world. They control how every diamond is basically graded, and they're the only ones everybody trusts. So they're a huge institute. And I went to the LA offsite campus where they had here before they closed down. And that's where I wanted to go because I wanted to get away from New York. I just wanted to get away from being in the area that I was already accustomed to and get my comfort zone. You know what I mean?
Got it. Okay. And yet again, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate you. I hear your phone binging off the ring.
That's the office. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. No, I this is extremely interesting to me. So in terms of you going to the East Coast, I mean, you living on the East Coast, whatever, what have you, and then getting to the West Coast. So why you decided to go to that school because you wanted to get away from home.
I wanted to focus. Sense. Yeah. I want to get all the bullshit, the distraction. I'm still grew up in the hood, still living in technically a 1-bedroom apartment that we turned into 2-bedroom. I split the living room up, you know what I mean? Gave me that little small wall for my own little privacy. So with my mom and my sister. So technically I'm like, I want to get away from all this, even though, it's what I know, it's what I'm used to. I want to get my comfort zone. That was my ambition, always to do something greater, go somewhere and live on my own,
Yeah. So what age is this? Is 24, 25, or do you remember?
This is 2007.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, this is 2007. Okay. So I was 23 going on 24.
Got it. Okay, perfect. And then you went to school out here, whole new experience.
Went to school for a whole 1 year straight. It was a 1-year program. You went to school 5 days a week, every single day from, I think it was from April to November. Pretty much. I got here in February, drove out here, you know what I mean, by myself from New York, 2 days. Got a little ass room in some second floor house in Crenshaw, or what was it, 42nd and Dalton off of Martin Luther King, thinking I was next to USC in a good neighborhood, but I was in the hood. But then again, I was around black people, which I was comfortable. You know what I mean? Nothing new to the God.
Yeah.
And then, so I just got, I just settled in and was just kind of really, just had a TV and a mattress on the floor and just was really happy. I remember getting there that first night, like, damn, this is me by myself. This is it.
Wow, that's fire.
That's trying to find a job. I didn't have a job yet, so I only had like $800 in my pocket. I saved up, so I was still trying to I had interviews lined up, but nothing was, set. So I was just trying to get a retail job that would let me go to school from 8 to 5 and come work from 6 to 10. You know what I mean?
Got it.
And I did.
And what was that job?
Ferrari store, the Beverly Center.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Joel Herman, who gave me that job. He was from New York, and they were just opening it up like in May. So I got the job in late February, and they were still constructed, but it gave me the job, and they were paying me, thank God, before the store opened. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Just had employees. And they let me work 5 days a week after school and let me come in one more day on Saturday. So I worked 6 days a week for almost a year straight and going to school.
And you moved to Los Angeles, and most people, even like myself, I worked at like American Eagle or something like that. But you decided that you
got good genes, brother. You got good genes.
And you decided, you stupid. That's funny. But you decided to work at Ferrari. And that's very.
I mean, that's what gave me. I applied for Nordstrom. I applied for this job and that job. I mean, but Ferrari.
But there's a reason why you applied for those certain type of jobs. Like you could have easily been at the, whatever Foot Locker. You know what I mean? Like you may apply to Foot Locker too.
Ferrari felt like this Ferrari store opened their first store. Just felt like a part of what I wanted to be a part of. It's a fucking retail job. It's still like I'm at the Ferrari store. You know what I mean? And there was good people in there, it was and they were first time openings. Everybody was new together. So it was a good little build. Everything was new. My new employees were new. We're all new together. My new classmates were all new together. It was just a whole new moment,
Got it. So you graduate from school, or is that what happened? Like you finish a program that year was like a program, and you have like a certificate or something of that nature. That
you finish a program. You get a graduate gemology diploma. I took the graduate gemologist whole course, which included graduate diamonds. So certified in knowing about stones. I'm pretty much certified as an appraiser in a way. I'm certified as a gemologist. I took so I could be in the lab just grading diamonds all day and gemstones all day. You know what I mean? Of every sort. Because I passed a course on that front. So pearls, everything. So I pretty much know ins and outs of how to grade stones, qualities, good qualities, bad qualities. It's pretty much the whole universe of just gemstones. And that's what gives me that diploma is not easy to get and it's expensive. Thank God my cousin, helped me out there with some money. I begged her for it, but I also took a loan out for school.
Yeah.
And, took care of that. And that kind of gave me my confidence to go into any kind of job in jewelry, whether it was here or in LA, that I wanted to, work in, be like, hey, I'm serious. I'm a black man, yes, but I also have this graduate gemology diploma, which everybody in the business knows takes a long time to get and costs money. So let you know you're serious. So that was
when you were in school, obviously you just attested to this, but there were no other African Americans in your classroom.
No. Everybody in my school was from their parents sent them to go study so they get better education to come work in their stores or their jewelry companies. Every single person.
Got it.
Mostly girls. I think there was 2 or 3 guys in there. People were from Hong Kong, from India, from Georgia. It was a class of like 20 people in the lab you see every day. But, those people became family. They became very close friends, And looking back at it, not everybody stayed in the jewelry business, but they were kind of like rite of passage. Their parents made them go, and they paid for it. I was the only guy who really came from nothing and chose to go by myself and be in that classroom.
So powerful.
And so I worked. None of them had to go to work.
Yeah. So after you graduated and you got that program, because obviously you're working at Ferrari, when you graduate from the program, then do you get a job within a jewelry store finally, or?
After I graduated, my whole plan was to go back to New York. That was my plan from the beginning, from going before coming out here, and go back to New York because in my mind, the Diamond District gave you all the opportunities. So in my mind, being that I came to LA, got this program done, got my education, got my diploma, I'm gonna go back to New York, and then come back, chest out and go get a job. And, that's what I'm used to doing and start my new career. And I did come to New York. And one of my friends from my class who we became really close with, she worked in the business before she got her diploma. So she knew everybody in the Diamond District. And she connected me. It was hard getting a job. No one would really give me a job, to be honest with you. So she connected me with this person named Joan Boyce, who she knew through the business that I was looking for somebody assistant. And funny enough, Joan Boyce had a black husband. She's a Jewish white lady who was a celebrity jeweler to Mariah Carey and all these other people who have money in the business in New York. And she gave me this opportunity because she saw this young black kid walk in her office for an interview. And me, I got a little style, I'm charming, you know what I'm saying? But also got a diploma. And she's like, okay, I'll give him a chance, And she had her husband there. It was just, he's like Stedman to her. Like he's just chilling in the office. She's getting all the money. That boy's not working. You know what I mean? They're older too. They're in their late 60s. But she's a high energy person. And she was one of those devil wear Prada, but in the jewelry business. So she gave me a job through a friend. And I finally got a gig, and I worked with her for a little bit, and that was my kind of like introduction to working in the business.
Wow. What did you learn from her? That seems like a dope like experience. It actually could be.
I wasn't there for too long because she thought I was getting too big for my bridges. But I pretty much in that 1 year, I saw every day how she was. She was very glamorous, had a store in Aspen, had a store in Hamptons. She used to design, but then she started just, being that person where she walked into a convention of jewelry. People want to give her stuff that they make to sell because they know she's a big seller. She's a big personality. But I just saw how she treated her clients, how personal she was to them, how much she became friends with them, how they trusted her word. It's like, you need this, you need that, you got that. I also saw how she ran her business, which is very interesting too at the other end of that too as well. But, she was just a big persona, and she was very, confident in her style, and she had a look, and people really drew to her for that. I mean, she was Mariah Carey's jeweler, and she would tell Mariah, you need this, and I have this, and this is it, So I just seen kind of the process of how she sold to big time clients. That was my first introduction to the business and sales.
Wow. Wow.
It was a glamorous Manhattan, like Gerard, she trusted me with a lot of things, in this small 1 year. She's like, I need you to go find a watch for Mariah. She wants to get it for Nick. And I'm online doing my little research. Like, okay, I think she get a Piaget, diamond, black tie. And she trusts me. She's like, wow, it's a beautiful watch. I'll send it to her. Mariah's like, I love it. And, and she connected with her people and she got the watch. You know what I'm saying? And she sold to her. So those little things made me feel like I was like, okay, I do have taste in this business. Like if she could trust me as a new person. And, she gave me a little favoritism a little bit in that office. I could feel that. But then that extra favoritism, that extra confidence led me to trying to get clients for her. Like I said, very quickly, too fast, and then I guess she found an email, so I sent some random, just basically trying to cold call people like celebrities, and she thought I was trying to get my own damn business on the side, trying to use her for it. So she fired me. And thank God she fired me too. I'm happy she did, because none of this would have been happening as it happened if she didn't fire me. You feel me?
Wow. Yeah. That's powerful, man. That's such an interesting story, bro. Like, and then so now when did the boom happen for St. Jules? And I love to figure out like where that name came from. And
I mean, from this, I left Joan Boyce in 2008. This is in the recession too that she was still popping. I left her late 2008, and it was about to be 2009. So if I'm gonna fast forward, St. Jules didn't start really till 2016, 17. Honestly, so that was almost 8 years.
Wow,
from that job, and in between that time, when I moved, I was in New York, and I was kind of depressed about getting fired. And I was trying to find a job, but everything compared to what I was doing with her, which was fast paced and feels so glamorous, was like working in the office. Nope, I'm gone. I'm quit. Oh, working at a store. Oh God, this retail bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And then it started clicking me like maybe I need to get back to LA. And then that's when it started kind of clicking like I need to do that. But I was just really hanging out again with the homies back to before, like I was going to school.
Wow.
Hanging out in the hood, playing basketball, trying to figure it out, and then step by step things happen where like, the universe conspired, I would say. My leg playing basketball, had to stay in the house for 3 months straight. That gave me the time to kind of figure out what I wanted to do.
You broke your leg, you said?
Yeah, playing ball. I was a big hooper, bro. I've been hooping since I was a baby. That's what I did. That was my pastime. So broke my leg just playing some midnight basketball with my boy Imani, and then went to the hospital. It wasn't really working. Is after I got fired. Thank God the Medicaid paid for it. It was like $50,000 surgery. Regardless, I just tore my whole knee up and then got a plate in it. And then 3 months I'm in the crib, crutches, can't really move, medication. That's when I started to figure out like what I got to do. started plotting, started planning, started scheming, in a good way. My whole life
Yeah.
is. Then I got a job which I knew was gonna be temporary, just to get a little bit extra money in my pocket to buy a car for $2,000 that I seen getting sold down the block from my hood at this little rundown shop, little Nissan Maxima. Okay, if I get this car, I get a little savings, $1,000, whatever. I can do what I did again, what I did in 2007. Get back to LA, not drive this time though, ship it because I didn't want to do that drive anymore, and then start it all over again. Get a crib, get a job, and then really stick out there and make the plan work and not come back. And that's when it came. That's when it came to fruition. I did those plans and it happened. Got up and left in September 2009. Got here and just started from there, man. And then 8 years later, going through different jobs and different companies, and just learning the business even more on a retail side of it. Working in Beverly Hills, in the retail side of it, seeing different kind of clients come every single day, and then getting to the point where I'm like, okay, now I'm like what? I'm like 32 years old. I'm like, okay, now this is the moment where I got to, decide what I want to do with this, some things happen in life. They just kind of force the way to things to happen, without even knowing. And then that's when I kind of started St. Jules. And that just came from, the name just came from just, things in my past, going up in Catholic school, going to confirmation, having the St. Gerard thing around your chest when you go into confirmation as a, and all that stuff, and being named after that. So it kind of stuck in the back of my mind, and that just came to sound like a cool last name to me. Like, what can I call this company? I don't want to call it Gerard Alexander's jewelry. I want to call it something that's a brand. And I wanted to be like David Yurman because I worked at David Yurman. So I'm like, I wanted to be like something like that, but people recognize it for it and not know who I am. Because most people didn't know who David Yurman was. They know the store, they know the company, they don't know how to I never knew until I worked there. And I met him in person. That took years. So, I wanted to have that same kind of thing where people respected the jewelry. So I thought of St. Jules. And I was just at the crib one day in my room, just sketching on my table. And then, just had the idea of something simple as a diamond and a halo. And that was it. And that's what kind of made me feel like, okay, I got the name. I'm going to go to the Wells Fargo Bank. I'm going to go start an LLC. Boom, boom, boom. Open up an account. And, and then just from there on, just kind of like, start with that and then lead on with that when I meet people. That was it.
Got it. And then your first piece, I just want to get to that first piece that you did under the St. Jules brand, though. You know what I mean?
Like I said, I worked at David Yurman for a good amount of time, like about 4.5 years. And, and when that chapter ended, I was pretty much just on unemployment, you know what I mean? Keeping me afloat and just kind of just like, fuck it. It is what it is. I have nothing else. I'm just going to stick it here and see how it goes. I'm going to jump off this cliff. So I got started with the company and I met a lot of people, like I said, in that store who would be consistent clients, And then one client named David, a young guy.
So these are people that you met in the store.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, people met in the store, build relationships with. I mean, you're there for 4 years in Beverly Hills. There's people in Beverly Hills who go on that block.
So how did that process go? Did you reach out to them and say, hey?
I didn't reach. Nah, you know what? I didn't reach out to people like that. That's like the ego thing. I didn't want to be like, yo, by the way, I started my own thing, man. You should come. I didn't want to come off like I was desperate either, or like, like, well, okay, cool, man. We didn't know you. I never really told most people I did jewelry. I wanted to do jewelry on my own, so I only told a few. But one client came to the store and he hit me up. He's like, bro, I came to the store. You weren't there. I'm trying to, and I'm like, okay, my bad, bro. I'm starting my own thing, I think, blah, 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 and he's like, well, I'm trying to get married. I want to get engaged. So you think that's something you could do? I'm like, hell yeah. That was my first kind of like sale, was through friends. My first two big sales were two friends, and they were engagement rings. Both of them to two Jewish white boys, Phil and David, who married their girlfriends.
That's beautiful.
I mean, outside of that, when I started my business and having ideas, I did have small little trinkets I made that my friends, like like yourself and other friends I knew in New York, that would just buy for $900, $1,000. But it was support. They would understand the vision, what I wanted to do, even though there were small pieces. I was around rich people, and my friends, thank God, I had a little bit of money to spare to kind of support, what I wanted to do in my life. So, and then they loved it. So, that gave me a lot of confidence over time. But that's where it started from, though, after Yurman.
Man, that's really cool, kid.
2017, my boy. Yeah.
Yeah. So can you give me, because yet again, I don't want to take a lot of your time. Can you give me that, that piece of that client that kind of, and I know it's probably a collective of clients that you met over years, but there had to have been somewhat of a like a boom, an atomic boom that happened
Yeah.
where it was like, okay, okay, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, it all happened really fast, right? Like I told you, end of 2016, I kind of started my company, but I was just really just running around meeting people. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yes, sir.
My first clients who I didn't know, as far as friends who really bought from me, were my boy Jesse, who worked with Neo and them, Compound Entertainment. And they were kind of like a little crew of these guys, and they met me at a party that some girls I knew invited me to. Like a lot of girls supported my vision, my ideas. They always invited me out, like, yo, come out, meet some people. I'm like, all right, cool. And I remember I got a solid advice from another black jeweler I met randomly in Beverly Hills, and he's like, I asked him, like, what do you advise me to do as a newcomer and try to build my business? Like, always be outside, meet people,
Mm,
and tell them what you do. Start
mm,
there. I said, okay. And I took that. I always take advice and I always listen. I always try to, you know, make it happen in a way that makes sense for me. So I did that. I would go outside. I never turn down an invite. I go everywhere. And I told people kind of like, yeah, I'm a jeweler. I'm a jeweler. Even though I'm this guy with no jewelry on, got a little, whatever. I'm a jeweler. Okay, cool. And then those guys met me at a party. They liked who I was as a person. I hung out with them. And then next thing they ordered some stuff for me. Jesse ordered $10,000 dog tags. Mister from Compound ordered a wedding ring and some other pieces for me. But these are my people that look like me. Young black successful people in music business. So that was my first introduction to making jewelry. People
Now, in terms of pricing, right? Like when you're starting off,
that was a lot of
and
money to me, $10,000 back then too.
I can
That's a
imagine that.
lot of money. Like, oh, you trust
But
me with 10 bands?
where do you get? Yeah, where did you get the gumption to ask for that? Because sometimes, even speaking for myself as an entrepreneur, sometimes I've discounted
Well, no, I
things
didn't. I
because
didn't. I
I'm
didn't.
like,
I didn't.
oh,
I didn't. I got the gumption to ask for that. That's how much it cost me to make.
got it,
He
got it.
asked me to make this piece that he wanted, like, oh, you want it bigger, or you want it more, or you want okay. Well, do the math. That's gonna cost me 9,000 and change. Make this, and he doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. I'm a new. I could try to say 13. I was very scared to ask for money to make some thousands of dollars profit. So I was trying to just lock him in as a client. I was basically trying to lock in clients for the first year to let me do my art. You know what I mean? Let me show you that my shit is dope. Let me also show myself that my shit is dope. So I didn't make no money. I was charging people the same cost it was for me. And I didn't know how to really estimate jewelry that well. I was still running around downtown LA, meeting new people, meeting these jewelers. It's all a step-by-step thing, man. You meet people, they do take advantage of you. They see that you don't know anything. You know what I'm saying? So I was just taking people for their word. All these diamonds cost how much per carat? Oh, it costs how much per hours of labor to do this? Okay, great, whatever. Oh, I should do this way? So I was getting pulled each way to everybody's own perspective, how they should make my jewelry for their benefit more than mine. So it was a learning process from that. So whatever it cost me, I couldn't come to some guy and be like, yeah, it's 20,000. When it could have really been cost me 7,000, but it cost me 10. So I charged him 10, but I wanted to build a portfolio, bro. That was the only thing I cared about. And I was on Instagram, was still fairly new. It was not a thing where, businesses were trying to make sales on, but you wanted to show what you did in an artful way. You know what I mean? Like 2017, like building Instagram and showing the world and reaching out to people to see what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, see what I'm doing and how I'm developing my taste and style. You know what I'm saying? So,
And how important has social media been to
it
the
was very
St. Jules
important.
brand?
When I first started Instagram, I didn't see no black jewelers on there. I swear to God, probably was me and one person I probably ever could find on my Explore page. I was a black jeweler. You know what I'm saying? So I felt very exclusive in a sense with my ideas and what I wanted to do. Then obviously over the boom of, the years, and obviously after COVID, money coming around, people hustling and seeing what businesses are rocking, people making money. It brings a lot of different faces in there, a lot of different more people. Like it just kind of saturates it more. So I'm glad to see my brothers in the business. Some of them are just not jewelers, they're just hustlers. But, whatever the case may be, man, it's beautiful to see people in the business like that. But, I took the route where I started as the old school route, school, art, studying, going to work for a company, and then building it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Where motherfuckers are coming to this business and just like, oh, I used to sell drugs. Now I sell jewelry. Oh, I used to sell cars, luxury. Now you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Yeah.
another hustle for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For me, it was like a whole lifetime plan. But social media was very important to me, how I portrayed my art, because that's the only way the world could see it. So I really curated it the way I wanted to curate it authentically. You feel
Powerful.
me?
No, I do.
And grow it organically, not buy any followers, People,
Yeah.
I remember people come to me just a year ago, like clients I have, would be like, yo, man, why do you have so many, your jewelry's so dope. Why don't you have so many more followers? I said, listen, man, I don't know. This is the way it is, but I'm not going to change myself or do anything different just because because I should be seen to have more followers, be more popular. I got clients in real life who find me very, very, high end and popular. So,
Sure.
So social media's been important, but it hasn't been everything for me. But definitely has helped, reach a lot of people that wouldn't see stuff for sure.
Nah, that's fire, brother. And I mean, I feel like this is a great ending to part one, because I ain't gonna hold you. Yeah. We're gonna have to bring this back. Like, this is very interesting, fam. Like, I've known you for years on years and never knew half of this. So this was great. And
my camera doesn't work. I don't know what's going on my laptop. I guess I got a new laptop too.
Nah, it's all good, man.
Going, right?
Yeah, but this is great, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? The black sheep, you know what I mean? You heard it here first, man. Like, the black sheep, Gerard Alexander, man. I respect it so much, because I've been with you, you know what I mean? Like, the Diamond District and all that. And you're definitely alone. You're definitely the only, black brother in there. But no, this has been very insightful, my brother. I think there's a lot of jewels.
This is definitely the PG side of the story, because a lot of
for sure. But I think it's a lot of jewels and a lot of gems that you mentioned in this conversation, in terms of like how you put yourself in positions to, you know what I mean, accelerate, you know what I mean? And you have to believe in yourself to put yourself in those predicaments. And I think that was powerful. No, I appreciate you, man, for part one, Gerard Alexander. Thank you so much for your time. And for those who don't, who want to find you real quick, just even off this first sniblet, you know what I mean? Like, where can they find you?
I mean, if you want to really find me, just email me. ga@stjules.com. Or just go to the website, or honestly, just see what I'm doing and what I'm posting, anything new, what's going on. Just Instagram, St. Jules, SAINTJEWELS.
Man,
sound like the radio station, in it. My voice got a little deep at the end of that one.
Straight up. Nah, man, this is great, man, and no pun intended. You dropped a lot of jewels, so thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. We'll be back for part two soon, whenever I can get on this brother's schedule. Thank y'all for listening to this special edition of Text Me When You Outside. Thank y'all.
I'll be outside later if you want to hang out, bro. You know where to find me.
Vibes.
All right. Peace.